Okay, this is a tutorial to add length to little girl jeans with the ruffle at the bottom. This is the very first thing that I ever made before I knew how to sew. They're pretty easy, they're pretty quick. If your kids are like mine, they usually outgrow the length before the width, so this is a great way to get more life out of your jeans. These were actually hand-me-downs for my daughter, so I actually didn't spend any money on these, and I can make them last even longer by adding a ruffle at the bottom. So first, you need to make sure that you have a very good pair of scissors, a pencil. This is a sewing pencil, but you don't need to have this. You can just use a pencil, it's fine. I have it on a rotary cutter board, but you don't need to have that either. You just need scissors, your machine, and a pencil to mark, and a ruler. So what you're going to do is first you need to look at the bottom of your jeans. These are Levi's. They have a thick hem. Hopefully you can see that. So there's actually about an inch here. A lot of jeans just have like the tiny little, maybe like a 1/4 inch hem. So these have like a full inch. So I want to take all of this off because it's too thick to work with my machine. I don't want to break a needle or anything. So I'm going to take all this off. So I'm going to take off an inch. Now what I want to do for these is I want to add sheets to add, I'm going to put about 2 inches on. So hopefully that'll help bring her into the fall and winter months too. So I'm going to add 2 inches total. So if I take off an inch, obviously I need to add 3 inches. So what I did was I cut 2 pieces. This is pink polka dots. I thought that would go with pretty much anything. I cut 3 3/4 inches. Whatever you decide to add, make sure you add 3/4 onto the total, because you need to have a 1/4 inch for where you're sewing, for your seam, and then you also need to have a 1/2 inch for your hem, so when you fold over to make a nice hem. So 3/4 inches is what you have to remember to add. I made mine, there really is no right or wrong length for how long you want it to be. This one I did, this is about 20 inches, so you can work with that. You can even trim it as you're going if it's too long. You're going to be gathering it, so it's going to be all cinched up anyway. So you definitely want to have it twice as long as the actual jean. So this is, if I pull this down, this is about 6 inches, so that would be total of 12. Well, this is a little bit longer, so it's fine. So once you find your length and your width that you want to add, you want to cut 2 pieces. Okay? Okay. What I'm doing right now is I'm marking my inch. So I'm just going to put little markings here so I know where to cut. Okay. Make sure you have a nice clean workspace too. That always is really important. Make sure the kids are napping as well. You don't want to do this with little ones running around. Okay, so I made sure I cut off the really thick hem so it's easier to work with. Okay, I'm going to do this side. Now, like, you don't need a fancy ruler like this. You could just use good old-fashioned wooden school ruler. Okay, so I cut my hem off. So I cut an inch here on both, so you can see that. You don't need these, you could throw them in the garbage. And then what also I did was I pressed my hem. Okay, so you press over a 1/4 inch and then press over again a 1/2 inch. Or I'm sorry, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch total. So you have a nice clean hem. Okay, I did that on both. I do recommend pinning if you are a very beginner. For the sake of time, I'm just going to sew this without pinning it, but I do recommend pinning. Okay, so we're ready to sew. What we're going to do is we're just going to sew down our hem in a straight line. Regular tension. I have mine set in between 3 and 4. My stitch length is at 2, my width is at about 4. Make sure you back stitch to hold your stitches. And like I said, I do recommend pinning. I'm just going to run through it really quick for the sake of time. Make sure you choose thread that matches the print too, so you don't want that sticking out too much. Okay, do the second one. Okay, so you have your hems done. So you can see, I recommend pressing this too before you go any further. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to flip it over. So here's the hem side, here's the other side that's not finished. What we're going to do is we're going to put in a long stitch. This is what we're going to use to gather. My setting, the longest length is 4, so you want to put it on the longest possible. This is an old Kenmore, possibly 15 years old, but it's not digital, but some of the new digital machines actually have a gathering stitch. So you're going to want to set that. Again, mine's at 4, so just make sure it's the longest that you can. And then we're just going to go across. You want to make sure you don't back stitch at any point, because you don't want to lock in the stitches. You're going to want to pull on them.